What's up, everybody? Hope you're having an awesome week so far. My name is Pastor Aaron, joined as usual by Pastor Brian Schlenker.
Hello.
Here for episode number 3 of the First Pod. Our aim is to help you, whether you be a part of our church family here at First or not, stay informed about what's going on, and also kind of use this as an opportunity for a little bit of testimony.
Oh.
Somebody. In case you don't know what testimony is about telling about all the good stuff that Jesus is up to here in our neck of the woods. And he's up to some amazing stuff. Would you agree?
I would agree.
I think he's doing some amazing things.
I agree.
And so the whole idea behind what we're doing is to make sure that you, the local viewer, is informed and encouraged with what God is up to.
Yes.
Somebody shout amen.
Amen.
Amen. Wow. Pastor Brian, it's been a week.
Yep.
What's been highlight of the week so far?
Yeah, I think for me, personally, probably just had some really great chats with some of the guys. We, for those who don't know, we host Tigers Chapel. I just had some really great conversations with a couple of the boys there, and so. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I need to get into detail about it, but I mean, it was just really encouraging and just awesome.
Man, I love that. That's great. Yep. Yeah, Tigers Chapel. A lot of fun this week. Bunch of fun this week. I got to exhibit some basketball skill, prove that I'm not just an old short guy.
Yeah.
Still got game, a little bit. Still got a little bit of game.
Just enough.
Won't call anybody out particularly, but you know who you are.
Yep.
I think highlight for me this week, in pastoral ministry, we kind of end up meeting people in really unique ways. End up meeting a family this past week through a funeral and all that type of stuff. And it's still pretty raw. I actually just like getting back from the funeral today and officiating it. But never ceases to amaze me how the Lord will kind of take you into different places and how he will look at you and say, hey, like, I'm entrusting you with this. I got to say, like, really humbled that I would be called upon to serve a family in, like, such a terrible time. But yeah, at the same time, too, get the opportunity to meet some amazing people in our local community, for sure. Yeah. Kind of piggybacking off this whole, like, pastoral thought, October, in case you don't know, is Pastor Appreciation. And so often it's, in our house at least, it's one of our board members getting up and kind of going on, talking about, hey, like, would you consider appreciating your pastor this month? And so little time, it's us actually getting a chance to, number one, say thank you for the opportunity to serve and to pastor. But furthermore, like, why are we even doing this? Like, why are we pastors in the first place? And I think so often you might have come to church here and not necessarily know our stories all too much, or know why we even are called pastor, or why we've chosen this as not just a calling, but as a career, and have kind of devoted our lives and families in some regard to it. Kind of a bit of a funny one. I used to talk with this when people... when I became lead pastor here, I'd had so many people ask me, like, time and time again, what is, like, how's it going? Like, how you doing? And my usual answer is, like, it depends on the day. It depends on the day. But one of the things that I would constantly tell people, especially early on, is just, like, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't in the pastor calling brochure. When you give the brochure out, it's usually full of all the good stuff and not necessarily some of the things that you would consider not doing or becoming a pastor for.
Right.
So question, what was not, I'm kind of backing myself into a corner because I'm the one who asked you to come and join this team. But what's not on the brochure that you've kind of gotten good, quick reality in?
Probably, I didn't realize I'd love it so much.
Whoa!
You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. I think, I mean, oh, man. it's on one hand, so like again, for those who maybe don't know, like I grew up in a pastor's home. So kind of I've been in and around church for pretty much my entire life. So I think, at least seeing my parents' example and just seeing how, you know, they'd be a part of people's highs and, and breakthroughs and all this stuff. And then they'd be a part of people, you know, like kind of like you're sharing, like in their really, in their lows. And then, you have people, for whatever reason, you know, kind of stepping away or out of relationship with them for different reasons, or sometimes without a reason. And so I think in some ways it's hard to give an answer if I'm being honest right now, because I don't think anything's super shocking to me or it's something that I'm not, there hasn't been anything thus far that I haven't, how did you word it? That I haven't
experienced, like that's been left out of the brochure,
right.
per se.
Yeah.
Because Roland went through it all.
Yeah. I don't think anything's been out of the norm or completely out of left field. I don't know. That's kind of a boring answer.
Hey, it is what it is.
I mean, like, having to learn like a whole new language to talk to teenagers. Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh,
what about you?
Your graphic design skills.
Now, wow,
let's take a moment to testify about how the Lord does.
We don't need to brag about it.
A new work in people. Brian, let's be straight. Like you barely knew how to like print a piece of paper off a computer when you first got here.
If the printer was hooked up right, yeah.
But you you weren't diagnosing any problems though, by any stretch of the imagination.
Still, sometimes I don't know.
But like even the point of graphics, like I don't necessarily think you were super well versed in, but here you are learning, growing.
Yeah. Man, I'm on a few different platforms. Sometimes I use Canva for certain things. Sometimes I'll use Keynote.
Whoa.
Sometimes I'll use Affinity. But even Affinity sometimes drives me nuts sometimes, so I can't always do.
Hey, listen, you're learning, you're growing. I love it.
Try.
It's amazing.
Yeah. No,
Even Joey would be proud of you, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could send Joey some stuff. I'll see what he says.
Yeah.
But no, I think there hasn't been anything like really shocking or out of the norm for me. I think like yeah, I mean, I can keep cheering on it and we can come back to it maybe, but what about you?
They always said like, I remember when Pastor Lyle used to be here and Matt and I, Pastor Matt, myself were here. Matt would tell me when I first got here that there'd be little things that Lyle would get us to do to not just be kind of put in the box of being like we're only here to learn about youth ministry, but we're actually here to learn about like ministry entirely. And I think he wanted us to grow in our thinking and not just think through the lens of a youth pastor or an associate pastor. He wanted us to think through the lens of like lead pastor, someone who's involved in the administration, all these different types of things. He wanted us to have a well-rounded understanding. And even despite the training that I've received over the years and like the amazing lead pastors I've been able to either not just work with, but also kind of like watch from afar or have received mentorship from, nothing will ever, 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 I repeat, ever prepare you for the weight you feel the moment you accept the role of being a lead pastor somewhere and accepting that spiritual like authority and that leadership. And even for myself, there was this time of transition from about early December to about July before I became the lead pastor here, where I was dubbed interim associate pastor. And even though there was a lot more responsibility on my plate and I preached a lot more and there was a lot of different things, even though that was even a good incubator, the moment like July hit and then come in the next coming months, like it, nothing could have ever prepared me for what I was walking through. And it's true, when I've talked to lead pastors, like um, you won't know until you know, and I can firmly say I know.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something that, they tried their best to put on the brochure. People try their best to inform you, but like you just don't fully get it. It's like the tourism videos of Newfoundland.
Yeah.
It's just like the tourism videos of Newfoundland. They'll show you how beautiful it is, but
Yeah.
it's not until you go.
I've seen the videos. I've never been.
It's not until you go though that you'll be marveled at the beauty.
Almost like having kids.
Well,
a little bit as well, maybe.
Oh, okay. I look forward to that.
Yeah,
I look forward to that. 1 month left.
Let's go.
1 month.
Woo! I think yeah, and again, it's not like necessarily, yeah, I mean, obviously I've never been in like a lead pastor role per se, but even in my role currently, I think there is, even maybe not to your degree per se, but there is, I do feel like a healthy, I think it's not like I don't know.
Reverence?
There's just like a healthy weight or responsibility that I feel.
Responsibility,
Yeah, I think that's how I view it. It's like a healthy responsibility to those that I'm overseeing, I guess, in terms of like with students or I guess now small groups and stuff, but or whoever it is, right? Like there is like that like obviously like God's still doing pretty much most of the heavy lifting, but like you know what I mean? But he like there is that responsibility that we have to rightly divide the word of truth, to to care for those pastor those that we have been called to. So yeah.
You made an interesting comment that like, when it comes to the quote unquote brochure, most of the behind the scenes stuff or the things that they wouldn't have included, you had kind of firsthand exposure to it. Watching your mom, your dad, like lead churches and lead ministry and stuff like that. Despite that, though, here you are.
Here I am.
Here you are, pastoring. So clearly, I would say the call of God trumps negative experience.
Yeah, I would say so.
Hope so.
No, yeah, 100%.
But like, if all that experience that you probably have gone through over the years, you probably have enough of a case to say, hey, like, I don't want to do this. Like, I want to stay away from this with a 10-foot pole.
Right.
Why on earth? What's the story behind you not just like being open to it, but ultimately accepting it and day after day after day after day, despite the different things that we go through as a pastoral staff and with church and all these things, saying yes to the call that the Lord's put on you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. It's kind of like funny how I am here in this position, but I think I'm just trying to think of where to go back here, but I mean, the short end of it is like just I couldn't shake I couldn't run from it anymore, or I couldn't shake the feeling of needing to respond to it. And not even just to, if I'm being honest, like I don't think even being a youth pastor wasn't even something that I was pursuing even before coming here. I wasn't like on my hands and knees praying for like months on end. I'm like, God, where's a youth pastor position? I wasn't like that. It was just like, I just knew there was like a holy, and again, I don't know, please correct me if I'm just spouting off here, but basically like, it just felt like a holy unrest in some sense. Like it was like, I was not, what I was doing. I was in construction before, working for a great company. So there's no complaints there, but it was just like, there was no satisfaction to what I was doing. Now obviously I was still providing for my family and that's still a godly thing, to keep doing that. But I think like I had to respond to him, and I think if I go back to like maybe my late teens, I would say, or maybe even just early 20s, like 20, 21. Um, our church kind of like came into an understanding of the Holy Spirit. Because I didn't really grow up Pentecostal or charismatic or whatever. But I think like at the end of the day, if I could summarize quickly, it's like I encountered God, like actually experienced him. And I was like, man, like I am fully submitted, fully surrendered to like God, like I want your will for my life. Right. And I really genuinely did feel like a call to ministry, during that time. And so I thought like for years, I was just like, man, it was like, it sounds like ridiculous to say it now, but like, I think subconsciously I felt like if I wasn't doing ministry, I was failing. And so like I did some schooling, for like my early 20s. And then, and like, kind of fairly involved in ministry, of course. I was just, again, kind of thinking, yeah, worship leader, some sort of position like that in a church, going for that. And then just like, as life kind of progresses, like nothing was really like there for that. And just, I found myself just kind of, again, kind of within the construction world. Am I going too long?
No, this is great.
I kind of found myself like in the construction world, in a few different spots. Again, looking back now, like still gaining valuable experience that way, because that's always good to learn.
We are a benefit of those lessons.
Yeah. Oh
my family is also a benefit of those lessons.
Oh my gosh. Which again, like I'm like a big fan of like people going in the trades, because it's like it's so needed and necessary.
Yeah.
But I think like in my time and just in wrestling and trying to and praying to God and asking him, I finally came to this place of like being okay with just, it sounds bad, but like just working my job, providing for my family, just living like I remember where that verse is, do your best to live a quiet life. What's how, you know that verse though?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Anyways, and so because there was really just a lot of discontent in here. I found I wasn't doing ministry. And so like it made everything in the present just really miserable. And my wife can attest, she, hears me wrestle with everything. And so yeah, I was really just finally at this place where I was like kind of content with like, okay, like I can see the work of my hands in front of me, like what I'm doing, it has value, and it's helping my family, and I was like, okay, I might as well just get my ticket. And so I hunkered down, got my journeyman carpentry ticket. I didn't say that right, but basically, you know what I'm saying.
I got you.
Got my ticket in carpentry, and then I just, again, like I kind of shared earlier, it's like I there was still this thing that I couldn't shake, and I knew, like, as much as I love working with my hands, as much as I love building things, and I knew I just couldn't shake the feeling that this was not what I was meant to do for a long time or the long term. And so, when you, like, we're literally, again, I'm sorry if I'm going way too long here, but basically, like, Jen at the time was pregnant with our third, and and she's like, okay, well, she's, super graceful in listening to me and helping me. But she was like, okay, no new jobs until this baby's born, essentially. And so, like, basically, I was like, okay, whatever. So I was kind of behind the scenes, not behind the scenes, but just like kind of had this other idea, another direction to go. And then literally, like, our baby was born, Kai was born, and
October the 30th. It was
I'm trying to remember. No,
I called you on a Wednesday.
Yeah, it was the Wednesday at whatever that day was. Wednesday after. It was like literally 2 or 3 days after.
Literally.
Kaya was born, and you called or texted or something, and you were like, hey, you're just like wondering if we could chat sometime. And I'm like, hey man, sorry, we just had a baby. I was like, I'll get back to you in like a week or something. like kind of busy. And then it was like another 2 or 3 days later, you texted, you're like, hey, is there like any way we can chat, like coffee, FaceTime, anything? So then you called us and kind of, presented the opportunity to us. And I literally, like, we kind of joke about this, but me and my wife, we like, so after we got off the phone call with you, we like, 'cause she was on speakerphone, of course. And like, we just looked at each other and we just went like, huh, like in sync, and, not the band. Okay. Not the band. But in sync, we were just like, huh. And we just, in that moment, there was like this piece that just kind of like dropped in. We're like, yeah, that's what we're supposed to be doing, And so, I mean, obviously.
So you knew at the phone call, yet you made me come over, swoon you with butter chicken.
No, like,
here,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm kidding,
bro.
I'm kidding.
I mean, you could swoon me with butter chicken any day.
I know I can swoon
any day of
anybody
the
with
week.
butter chicken. Shout out to Cliff that now does not serve butter chicken anymore.
I kind of miss Mango Tree, truthfully. But anyways, that's a very long answer. I don't know if that's helpful for anyone.
No, I think it's great.
But yeah, it's kind of been a journey of like, yes, I'm down for it, even in the midst of, sometimes ministry isn't the prettiest, funnest thing. But I was like, yes, God, totally down for it. There was even a conference that I went to when I was part of another church before, and I was really wrestling with just like submitting to God or something. And I remember there was like a call, an altar call or whatever, like a call for like, hey, if people want to be pastors, if you feel like God's calling you to pastors and you're like kind of wrestling with it. And I think I was actually wrestling with it. And I remember responding to that altar call. Again, this is like years ago. And I just went up. I felt like I was supposed to go up, and I did. But then nothing happened until like years later.
Crazy.
Anyways, that's sorry. I just feel bad for talking too long, but
no, I love it. It's so good. I just love the fact that, like, hearing story and being reminded of like his faithfulness.
Mm.
I've told this one a couple times too, but we had a friend who was shout out Jazz that was working here at the church once upon a time before Brian and all them came. And I don't know if I've told you this, but never forget her looking at me. She had resigned. She was chopping up to Calgary and moving on to bigger and better places. And she looked at me and she's like, I feel really bad. And I was like, why do you feel bad? She's like, because I'm your only friend here. I'm just like, I promise I'm not crying on the inside. Shout out Jess for abandoning me. It's okay. But I looked at her and like, I don't know if it was just me trying to be like saucy or like me just kind of being semi-spiritual, or I don't know what it was, but I literally said this statement and like I've never forgotten about it. I was like, you know what? One day all these offices will be not just full of colleagues, they'll be like full of friends that feel like family. And I'm just like, it's so amazing how he's been faithful to y'all on your end of the stick, and faithful to like Emily and I as well, even in the simplicity of just making sure that First Assembly is not just a job. Like, furthest thing from, these are people I genuinely love with my whole heart and cannot see doing a life without, y'all included in that, which is just super fun and amazing at the same time. Yeah, man. Crazy. Yep. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yep. That's great.
I know. Well, y'all, it's been a lovely conversation. Pastor Brian, thank you for that in-depth story.
Thanks for listening. If you're still listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And somewhere along the way, Pastor Brian became a dreaded Oilers fan. So please continue to pray for him.
I saw the light.
Okay.
I ran to the light.
Okay.
It's a journey of faith. Okay.
2-4 right now?
Hey, your Leafs aren't doing too hot either.
Okay. My Leafs had beat Tampa the other night. That was a dominant game.
Cool story, bro.
And we had a backup goalie in from the AHL.
Can we have him?
You probably can if you ask nicely.
Being an Oilers fan, it's stretches your faith. You know,
that's why you're so spiritual.
Well, sure.
We'll end on that.
We'll end on that.
People can insinuate things.
Yeah.
But hey, all, thanks again for joining us for this week's first pod. And again, honored that you would take the time to listen, tune in to what's going on here amidst our church family. And hey, can I encourage you, if you have, like, if you feel maybe like Brian, or you felt like myself once upon a time and feel like a call to pastoral ministry, hey, we would love to chat with you about some ways how we can come alongside of you and disciple, or point you in the right direction of where to get some training. And even better yet, the church, and what I believe it is to be, this is a place where you should be challenged and equipped. It should also be a place where you are given opportunity to flourish in your giftings. If I can go back to my home church, and I'm sure this is the same for you as well, I started drumming in my home church at, I think, in grade 3, I believe so.
Wow.
And no, not grade 3. Definitely not grade 3. I think it was grade 5. It was definitely grade 5.
Okay.
For sure.
We'll check the records.
But since then, like since grade 5, there was always opportunity for me to grow. And to play, we'll say, for lack of better words. I think you had that as well. You mentioned worship leading and our stories together. But hey, we want to make sure that this church, First Assembly, is a place where you get to grow and develop and get to exercise in your giftings too. And so if we're not doing something right now that necessarily meets your giftings or whatever, we don't want to expect you to like literally conform to our cookie cutter. 2 things. 1, if we're not doing it, hey, let's have a conversation. Let's get it on the go. Or number 2, y'all, we ain't the only church in town. And I'm so thankful to be part of a collective capital C church here in the body of Medicine Hat, here in the city of Medicine Hat, that loves Jesus just as much as we love Jesus. And we want to see you get plugged in, serve, and get discipled. And so if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. You can send us an email, head over to our website, www.firstassembly.ca, and you can find all of our contact info there. But with that being said, y'all, we're signing off. Thanks for joining us for today's episode, and we can't wait to see you next week. Have a good one. Peace!